What's poppin', y'all? It looks like one of Ye's writers and collaborators has finally had enough and is really speaking up for himself now. And I've actually got a personal story to share about this artist towards the end. I'll let you know when I'm going to share my personal story. So for the people that don't care about that, you can just leave when we get there. But the individual's name is Sean Leon. I don't know if it's Sean Leon or Sean Leon. I used to say it as Leon when I was younger, when I first encountered this artist. Because like Leon Thomas, we call him Leon Thomas. It's not Leon Thomas. But he goes on to tweet a bunch of things. Number one, a lot of the attention is on him due to Donda 2 being released. And he worked on Donda 2 and some other stuff. But he goes on to tweet a bunch of different things saying, no more side quests and don't ask me any more questions. I'm happy as F right now. 22K followers, that mean a lot to me. Thanks. And then he says Oxygen or Sci-Fi. So Oxygen is a song that he released in 2022 or 2022 or 23. I think it was 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, that song had Ye on it. And it's not a feature that's highlighted, and they've been working together for quite a long time. And this guy has been independent for a very, 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 very long time. I'm talking over a decade. And then he says Oxygen or Sci-Fi. And he says, I like how neither of us asked for permission before dropping. I'm going to put out some of the other music we made when the time's right. So this guy's been a frequent Ye collaborator. You guys know how fervent Ye stans are. And then he says, they hit me to do some more writing for D2, Donda 2. But I don't want to do that, especially not remotely. I kind of hate songwriting for others. It doesn't make sense financially. So just some short explanation about that. The way writers get paid is on the back end. So with producers, a lot of the time a producer will get like an upfront fee and then like a cut of the publishing. So they'll make money on the back end depending if they're able to cover the initial fee. So let's say they get 50K a beat, right? Like if their share of the song, so the percentage that they get of the song, the points, if it makes back 50K, then they start getting paid on the back end of the song in the future in perpetuity. If not, then they just get the upfront money. So that's how a lot of producers make a big bag, because they're like, hey, I'll just take the cash up front. That doesn't really work for writers. So writers, they get the publishing, but the song has to go, and they do upfront work for free without any guarantee of the song being released. And then the song has to do well for them to finally make money. Who knows how far along the line, how far down the line. And then he says, it isn't fun creatively unless we're building it together and feeding on each other's energy. Besides, I want to take my career to the next level now. I don't want to be known for writing for others anymore. I don't want my only Billboard #1 to be Justin Bieber. He's talking about Peaches. I don't want my only Grammy wins to be through other artists. I want Best New Artist. I want a machine to do the stuff I don't do and free me up to do the things I do well. I can't think of another unsigned artist with a resume like mine. I should be on someone's roster by now. And he is absolutely correct. And this is where like some people have the nerve to give the advice of like, yo, wait your time. You got to do this independent. This guy is an example of talent and just somebody that's so focused and elite at their craft that they need somebody else to handle the other stuff. They can't do it all. And then he replies, who is this brother? I like this energy too. I'm Dante, reacting and discovering his music. And Dante has a lot of people watching him on Twitch. That's a bunch of people discovering his music. And I think this is an incident kind of like Vori, when people first found out about Vori through Donda 1. And a lot of people started checking out Vori's music. And then, some controversial things happened with his like ex-girl, which I don't think necessarily hindered his career. It probably hindered the industry wanting to back him and put some support behind him. But a lot of people discovered Vori through that. And personally, I like Sean's music more than Vori. I'm not saying Vori's not as talented. It's just a preference type of thing. But he goes on and says, fans are better than having friends. I'm mentally ill, so I genuinely believe that all I need in life is more fans, genuine fans. And then somebody says, like, you could get more reach doing those things, and that would benefit your solo projects too. Don't you think that would happen? And he's talking about writing and things like that. And he says, yeah, like I said, I'm down to work if we're in the same room, like when he pulled up in Paris or when I was in Calabasas, Wyoming, Tokyo, Florence. But working remotely isn't really interesting to me anymore. Plus, I've worked on 4 albums already. At a certain point, I've got to forge my own path, or I'm boxing myself in as the help and not an artist in my own right. He's MJ to me, undisputed GOAT, but I'm Kobe. Kobe's got to be Kobe at a certain point. And then, funny enough, he says, labels are now calling me, gang, and people say stay indie, and I get it, but I made hella movies without a budget. I want to go full Christopher Nolan or Bong Joon-ho level. I think this is great, and I'm going to share a bit of a personal story now, as well as giving giving some analysis on this. So if you don't want to hear that, you could leave right now. So I first discovered this guy through a really, really close friend of mine. I would say like probably one of my best friends at the time. We were so young. This is 2014. He puts me onto this guy. So you got to think like 2013, 14, 15, there was a lot of underground SoundCloud gems. Like after After the Party? After the Party was one of these SoundCloud artists that I ended up finding. He never even showed his face. Really, really talented guy. I think I found him on YouTube first. He had like these girls as his, I think like song covers or YouTube thumbnails. I don't know if I found him through YouTube or SoundCloud. But a homie of mine, when we were skating one day, he was like, yo, you got to check out this dude from Toronto. And keep in mind, Toronto was bubbling up at this time. We had not Views. We had Hold On, We're Going Home with Magic Jordan. We had Drake, and this was Nothing Was the Same. Post Nothing Was the Same. So there were a lot of different acts, like Ram Riddles was another one that was kind of bubbling up, and he showed me Sean Leon. He's like, yo, you got to check this guy out. And I don't remember if it was the Narcissist Project or if it was just a song. I don't remember exactly, but it was 2014. I know that for a fact, undisputed. And I listened to the guy and I was blown away, especially back then. I was like, yo, what the hell? Who is this guy? And there was a bit of mystery around him. Like, we didn't know where he was. We knew he was from Toronto area, but I think he's from Scarborough, which is Ontario. So that's... it's that region. It's kind of like saying somebody's from, I don't know, like Bronxville. It's New York, but it's like it's a little bit outside of New York City. So I started listening to him. I'm like, man, this stuff is good. So I'm listening to him for another year or a year and a half or so, and then he kind of just starts dropping. And does it ever happen to you where you're listening to an artist and they're really talented, and then you're just following along and they're consistent, and then they blow up? And you're like, yes, this is great. There are also instances where you're listening to an artist, they're very talented, and then they stop dropping or they don't blow up, and you kind of lose sight of them or lose track of them, because you got to think of all of the other artists that were coming out in the US that were front facing too. So that's an advantage that they have that I was paying attention to. So I kind of lost, not interest, but it just escaped my mind what Sean Leon had going on. And I checked in on him again in 2017. He just randomly came to mind when I was just thinking of this friend who I also lost contact with. I don't even have that friend's phone number. The guy doesn't have social media. So you know who you are. Dog, hit me up. Like, man, I miss this dude. We had such good times together. So I check out a project that he did in 2017. I think it was it was CCWMTT, which stood for Can't Come With Me This Time. And this, I remember the album cover, and I was like, whoa, this is really, really good. I think he had Wonder Girl on one of these tracks too, but he was just doing solo stuff. And after this, I think I didn't listen. I didn't listen to anything after this. And then now, all of this is resurfacing, and I'm learning all of these new things, like the fact that this guy was on Donda and Jesus is King. Now when I listen to Jesus is King, I'm like, man, I hear this guy on Jesus is King now, because I've heard his old music, and now I have a bunch to catch up on. So it's kind of like if you forget about a TV show you were really into. Yo, I've got 4 seasons to catch up on. Let's go. I don't got to wait a year for a new season to drop. And this also breaks down the whole argument that fans have all the time to dismiss people that work together with artists. So if somebody's a manager, if somebody's an A&R, if somebody may have even signed someone, they never get respect from the fans. And let's say there's a falling out. For instance, Carl Crawford, 1501 Entertainment, former MLB player, he invested a ton of money into Megan Thee Stallion, investing money into her, getting her to blow up, signing her to 300, and then she abandons him, sues him, or like she gets out of that deal. I think he gets a payout, but he's upset with the whole situation. People are like, man, she would have blown up anyway, or he would have blown up anyway. This is the thing that they always use to come at managers or people that work behind the scenes. Yeah, he was talented. He was going to blow up anyway, which is the biggest cap ever. Here, we have a guy who I found out about in 2014. His music, he's been making music since before, I think he's been releasing since 2013. I enjoyed that stuff. It was good music. You could even look back at it in 2014, and you probably can't compare it to how good he's gotten now, but just reframe your mind to the position of somebody hearing this in 2014, and you're going to agree, most likely. This guy's been talented. He's been in the right rooms. He's been working with Ye. He's clearly mingled with other artists. He's independent, and he's supremely talented, yet he hasn't blown up. And why is that? It's not talent, because here's a talented artist that also releases music. So there are a lot of different factors that come into play. Right timing, some people will say luck, right amount of money, right amount of promotion, the right person, the right image. You kind of have to capture all of like sugar, spice, and everything nice, Powerpuff Girls. You have to capture all of these different ingredients at the right time as well for something to really pop. It's not just talent alone. And some people, like for certain writers, their music just isn't really good enough. Like they're just writers. But this guy's a music maker. Like he's an artist himself. And he was an artist before he was ever a writer, at least from what I know. If he was writing pre-2013, when he was still like a teenager, then that would be quite shocking to me. It would be impressive as well. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons and takeaways that we can get from this is there is value in a record label. If someone has like a radical answer set in stone and tries to use a one-size-fits-all approach in something as dynamic as music or film or acting or a creative field, you can't really trust that person's take. There's so much nuance in every individual career during different time periods as well. And for an individual like this, look, he's not going to be doing all of this other stuff that a record label should be doing for him. And he understands that, and he wants to partner up. And right now, it's clearly not for the money because it seems like he's making enough money. And he's also being open about it. This is something that other writers we saw glimpses of it with Party Next Door, who I would say is, keep in mind, Party Next Door was also coming out at the same time, 2013, 2014, when I first started listening to this guy. So that era of Ontario, kind of like Canadian underground, like SoundCloud, there are a lot of gems that came out of there, man. I think Division came out maybe like 2015 or so. But that's one thing I will give them credit. Like I wouldn't say they had a light shining on them, but if you were plugged into music at that point in time, you're like, yo, Toronto's up there with like top 3 regions for that short stint of time when it came to music as a whole. But he's somebody that's saying like, hey, look, I have done songwriting. I want to be famous for my own music and my own work. And that's something really difficult because it's a lot of writers from what I've seen that also are artists. In particular, Party Next Door, like we said, I don't know if they have this internal conflict where they feel like they have to pretend like they don't want to be more lit. For instance, like Work being a #1 global smash. I think there's a part of Party Next Door that's like, man, I wish I was on that song, at least. Or I wish that my reference track, or I wish that my song would go as big as that song did. Because Party Next Door's version, it's like, oh man, Party Next Door's version doesn't hit like Rihanna's does. Nah, it hits. Granted, Rihanna has the brand and also a woman's voice. But there are examples like Quentin Miller's versions of Energy and songs that were on If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Those don't hit as hard as Drake's do. And that's not to take anything away from Quentin Miller, but I think Quentin Miller's great at like reference tracks and writing more so than music making when we compare him to people like Vori, Sean, and Party Next Door, of course. But I don't want to drown this out. I don't want to drag this on for too long. I could be having this conversation for another hour, to be honest, because there's so many intricacies in this and details that we can go into in different rabbit holes. But yeah, for the sake of time, I think we touched on the topic, and I hope he's able to get a good partnership for himself and we get to see more from him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Go check out his music. He's a really talented guy. I want to see this guy succeed so much. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Go to helloyassine.com. Thank you for watching. Peace.